Ever feel that pull, like you're, I don't know, meant to help people heal, but something's holding you back?
Yeah.
Like you hit a wall.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not alone.
Nope.
So many people feel that.
Right. We're diving into that today.
Yeah.
Using Collean O'Brien's Reasons You Are Not a Better Healer as our kind of like our guide for this deep dive.
Love that.
And full disclosure, not about becoming miracle workers by Tuesday, okay?
Right.
It's more about like what's going on in our own minds that might be keeping us from the healing success we want, whether we're just starting out or been doing this for years.
Right.
You know?
It's so true. And what I find so striking is how O'Brien goes beyond just like, oh, you need more skills.
Yeah.
It's about the beliefs we hold, about ourselves as healers.
And specifically, our own unworthiness.
Okay, unworthiness.
Yeah.
I get it. But for some, that might sound a bit woo-woo. Like
A little too out there.
therapy couchy.
Yeah.
What's the deeper meaning, though, for those of us who are drawn to this healing work?
It's way deeper than you think, actually.
Okay.
Because she argues that a lot of healers, even really experienced ones, have this hidden belief that they're just not good enough to truly succeed.
Okay.
And our subconscious, man, it eats that stuff up.
So even if I'm like, yeah, I can do this, I got this.
Right.
There might be this other voice going, nope, not so fast.
Totally.
And that impacts us even without us realizing it.
Exactly. And it manifests in all these ways O'Brien talks about, right?
Okay.
So struggling to get clients, money problems,
Oh, yeah.
inconsistent results with the healings you're doing.
Right?
It can all stem back to this
So this feeling of
subconscious unworthiness.
unworthiness. And she
Right.
doesn't just leave it at, I'm unworthy. She
Right.
digs deeper, gives us different variations on that. Like, I doubt I can even heal myself.
Right.
How could I possibly heal someone else?
Exactly.
Or, and this is a big one, no one's going to pay me for this.
Ooh, yeah.
Which, let's be real, is huge for anyone trying to make this their living.
Is a biggie.
Right. Have you ever felt that pressure to be perfect
Oh, gosh, yes.
before you can even call yourself a healer?
All the time.
That ties into this, right?
Big time.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets even more, like, layered.
Okay.
O'Brien suggests that judging other healers
Ooh, the ones who seem like they have it all figured out often comes from our own insecurities.
Okay.
It's almost like we're projecting those negative qualities.
Oh.
And distance ourselves from that icky, not good enough feeling.
Oh, I've totally done that.
Right.
Yeah. It's like you see a successful healer and you think, well, they must be a fraud.
Right.
Or they're just in it for the money.
Yeah.
As if those are mutually exclusive.
Exactly. And then those beliefs like all healers are heartless.
Right.
Or they prey on vulnerable people. That really hits hard because it taps into this fear of becoming something we see as morally wrong.
We've all had those moments where we put healers on a pedestal.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Totally.
And then we wonder why we don't measure up. Right. It's like this impossible standard.
It's almost comical, though, when you think about it. Like, we
Yeah.
create these healing monsters in our mind
Healing monsters love it.
just to avoid our own shadows.
Exactly.
But O'Brien, she asks this really great question.
Okay.
She's like, who are the healers you judge most harshly? What does that say about the image you're trying to uphold?
It's so true because it makes you really self-reflect.
Right.
Like, what's going on in here that's making me so reactive to that?
And that leads us to another really pervasive idea,
Ooh, which is,
that healers must suffer.
yes.
Think about historical figures, saints, even that whole wounded healer archetype.
Right. It's like a badge of honor almost.
Yeah, the book even mentions Jesus, giving up everything to heal others.
Yeah, the ultimate sacrifice.
There's this whole romanticized notion that struggle
right.
is part of this path.
Got to pay your dues, right?
Right.
Suffer for your art.
And O'Brien really challenges that head on.
Okay, I like her already.
She's like, why must we suffer? Is it actually required for healing?
Yeah. Is it in the rule book somewhere?
Or are we buying into this limiting belief that's been passed down for generations?
Generations, yeah.
And she goes even deeper.
Oh, is she ever?
Talking about how these beliefs might not even be from this life.
Whoa. Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Past lives, ancestral stuff.
Right.
It all contributes to our subconscious programming.
Oh, wow.
And she calls out some very specific fears, like, I'll be punished for my gift.
Right.
Or I can't be wealthy and a healer.
Yeah, it's like those two things can't coexist.
Like we're afraid of repeating history, even if we don't consciously remember it.
Wow.
Which is kind of terrifying and fascinating at the same time.
It is, isn't it?
Right.
That's the subconscious mind, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't always, like, differentiate between past, present, future.
Right.
It acts on the information it's given.
Right.
So these deep-rooted fears can really sabotage us now.
Yeah.
Even if logically we know it doesn't make sense.
So it's not enough to just worry about being called a witch in this life.
Right.
Our past selves might still be running from those metaphorical pitchforks.
Oh, 100%.
It makes you realize how much we limit ourselves without even realizing it, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just like persecution from the past either.
Yeah.
It can be any figure that we feel we need to emulate.
Oh, interesting.
To be a legitimate healer.
Okay.
You know, O'Brien has a whole chapter called Having to Be Like Jesus.
Right.
And I laughed out loud when I read it because it's so true.
We put these figures on pedestals.
Right.
And then we wonder why we can't reach those heights.
Yeah, exactly. We're setting ourselves up for an impossible standard.
So how do we break free from that? How do we,
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
we become our own version of that, whatever that looks like for us?
Exactly. It's like you don't have to be them.
Right.
You can be inspired by them, though.
Okay.
You know, like take in their path, their methods,
Right.
even their energy, without having to, like, fit into their mold.
Become a carbon copy.
Exactly, yeah. In fact, O'Brien, she argues that being authentic, that's crucial in this field. You know?
Yeah, I can feel very do it this way.
Oh, totally. There can be like a right way or a wrong way.
Right.
And she's like, no, bring your own flavor to it.
Yeah, so less, I got to be exactly like them, and more, what can I learn here? How does that fit into my way of doing this whole healing thing?
Now you're talking.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the good stuff. And speaking of expressing things in our own way,
Okay.
the book, it goes beyond just the, you know, don't be Jesus thing.
Okay.
It tackles any box we try to squeeze ourselves into as healers.
Right. So it's not just about, who we're emulating.
Right.
It's also about the limitations we put on ourselves, about age, about gender, where we're from, even our location, being make or break for being a real healer.
Absolutely. Like, I could never be a healer. I live in, the suburbs or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And O'Brien wants us to really examine those beliefs.
Okay.
She even suggests, write down a list of those must-have healer qualities and then challenge each one.
I like that.
Yeah.
So if I think you got to be, a 70-year-old monk living on a mountaintop to be legit.
Right. Got to have the beard.
Time to grab my journal and poke some holes in that theory.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
It's about reclaiming your power. Yeah. You decide what kind of healer you'll be on your terms.
I love that.
You define success for yourself.
Okay, that's incredibly powerful. But, even if we clear all that up, O'Brien, she throws one final curveball.
Oh, no. What's this?
And maybe the sneakiest one yet.
Okay, hit me with it.
The realm of the impossible.
Ooh, impossible. Okay, so we've covered unworthiness, right?
Oh, yeah.
The myth of the suffering healer, trying to be someone else's carbon copy.
Right.
What's this impossible thing about?
So this is like the big leagues of those limiting beliefs, the ones that keep us playing small even when we think we've dealt with the limitations.
Oh, wow.
And she gives these great examples like, it's impossible to financially support myself as a healer, or my healings will never be consistent.
Ouch, yeah. Those are big ones.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if I believe I'm worthy, I'm capable, I'm on my own path.
Right.
These impossible thoughts, they act like a glass ceiling. I just can't break through.
It's like this, okay, impossible thinking keeps you stuck.
Okay.
Improbable thinking, that leads to inconsistency. Even self-fulfilling prophecies.
Right.
If deep down you think it's improbable you're going to attract clients, guess what?
You're probably wrong.
You're probably right. And not because it's true, but because that belief, it shapes your actions.
We're setting ourselves up for failure before we even begin.
100%.
Based on these, ingrained ideas.
Yeah.
It's interesting how specific those examples are. Wow. It's not just I can't be successful. It's I can't make a living doing what I love.
Exactly. And that specificity, it makes it sting.
Yeah, it does.
It feels really personal, really targeted, and therefore so much tougher to shake off.
So how do we start to unravel that, especially when it's so deeply rooted?
That's the million-dollar question, because you hear all the time, just think positive.
Right, think positive.
But when you've got years of conditioning saying the opposite.
Yeah, it's not an easy fix.
It's not like flipping a switch.
Right.
Right.
So where do we begin if we want to challenge those impossible beliefs about our healing potential?
That's where O'Brien's book
goes
from just being really insightful to incredibly practical.
I like practical.
She doesn't just leave us hanging with, like, a list of mental blocks.
Right.
She gives us actual tools to work with.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the first tool we need?
Awareness.
Okay, awareness.
Yeah, I know it sounds basic.
Right.
But you can't change what you don't even acknowledge. The book, it encourages us to really sit with those impossible statements.
Okay.
Feel their weight. Understand how they're actually showing up in our lives.
So instead of just being like, la, 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 not listening to you.
Right.
We actually shine a light on them.
Yes.
We get curious about them.
That's it.
Okay.
And with awareness, we can start to question those beliefs. O'Brien, she's got all these great journaling prompts in the book to help with this.
Okay, like what?
Like, what evidence do I actually have to support this belief?
Okay.
Or what would my life look like if this belief wasn't there?
Interesting.
Right.
Okay, so we're getting introspective, really like looking into those mental files.
Totally.
But what happens when we start uncovering like the roots of these beliefs? Where do they usually come from?
This is where it gets really fascinating, okay?
Okay.
O'Brien, she suggests that a lot of these impossible beliefs actually come from a fear of our own power.
Hold up. Fear of our own power.
Yeah.
As healers.
As healers.
How does that work?
Think about it like, if we really step into our full potential as healers, acknowledge we can create like massive change through this work.
Yeah.
That can be kind of daunting.
Right. Because then what?
What if we're not ready for that responsibility?
Yeah. What if it's too much?
What if the power somehow backfires on us?
Ooh, that's interesting. It's like that whole be careful what you wish for thing.
Right. Exactly.
But on a way deeper level.
Way deeper.
It's not just wishing for like $1 million. We're dealing with what it means to be a channel for healing on a huge E scale.
Huge.
No wonder that feels scary sometimes.
Right. And sometimes those implications.
Right.
They're huge EE.
Yeah.
Even frightening, It's easier to just stay small.
Right.
Stay safe, tell ourselves it's impossible.
Right. Control it.
Than to face that unknown.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
It's like we're standing at the edge of that high diving board.
Oh, I love this.
We see the potential for this amazing dive.
Yes.
But we're terrified of belly flopping.
100%.
But that fear also tells us we're onto something powerful.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what O'Brien wants us to realize.
Okay.
That fear, that resistance, that's not a stop sign.
Okay.
It's a signal to go deeper, to push past those comfort zones and really embrace the fullness of who we are as healers.
Okay, I'm fired up.
Yes.
But also a little lost. Yeah. So awareness is great. Questioning is key.
Yeah.
But how do we actually shift those ingrained patterns? How do we go from impossible to I'm possible?
That, my friend, is the $1 million question.
Right. And O'Brien, she actually provides a roadmap.
Okay, give me the SparkNotes version.
Okay.
What are the key milestones on this road to I'm possible?
It's less SparkNotes.
Okay.
More like a personalized GPS.
Okay.
The path is going to be unique for everyone.
Right.
O'Brien really stresses there's no one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one healer might not work for another.
So no magic spells, no secret handshakes?
I know. I wish...
Afraid not. But she does offer this buffet of techniques.
Okay.
Drawing from, like, various healing traditions, both, what some might consider traditional and what some might consider, alternative.
Ooh, a buffet. Okay, I'm listening. Give me a taste what's on the menu.
Okay, so we've got affirmations.
Okay, affirmations, I've heard of those.
Right. So remember those limiting beliefs we were talking about?
Yeah.
Affirmations are like their positive counterparts.
Okay.
Statements that directly contradict those negative thought patterns.
So instead of saying, like, it's impossible to make a living as a healer.
Right.
I would say.
Something like, I am worthy of being abundantly compensated for my healing gifts.
Okay. It feels a little weird to say it out loud.
It feels strange at first, but repetition is key here. Because our minds are like computers. They run the programs we give them. Affirmations are like we're rewriting the code.
I like that.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about when those affirmations feel, I don't know, kind of fake? Like I'm trying to convince myself of something that I don't even believe yet.
Right, exactly. And that's where deeper work comes in.
Yep.
O'Brien. She suggests things like EFT.
EFT, what's that?
Emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping.
Tapping.
Yeah, have you heard of this?
Like physically tapping on yourself?
Yes.
I think so.
It's really cool.
How does that work?
So it's rooted in acupuncture and acupressure.
Okay.
But instead of using needles, we use our fingertips to stimulate specific meridian points on the body while we're focusing on that negative belief or emotion we want to let go of.
So they're talking about those like energy channels, those meridians that run through the body. Yeah. So it's like acupuncture, but DIY.
Exactly. Exactly. And by tapping on these points, we're sending a signal to the nervous system and basically rewiring those old patterns. And EFT is great because you can use it for so many things. Anxiety, stress, even those big impossible beliefs that we're talking about.
Okay, adding tapping on myself to my to-do list.
There you go.
What else is on O'Brien's list for, like, ditching the impossible and stepping into our power?
Visualization is a big one.
Visualization.
Yeah, and no, this isn't about, like, sitting in a dark room burning incense. Right. Although, no judgment, if that's your thing.
Of course not, no judgment at all.
But it's about creating this clear picture in your mind of yourself as that successful, abundant, impactful healer that you want to be.
So like making a movie in my head, starring myself as the hero of my own healing journey.
Exactly. Exactly. The more detailed, the more vivid.
Right.
The more emotionally real you can make it.
Yeah.
The more likely you are to actually bring it into being.
Because our subconscious can't tell the difference between what's actually happening and what we're vividly imagining.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when we feed our minds those positive images, those I'm possible scenarios, our beliefs start to shift.
Right.
We start to create a new reality.
This is all making sense. But what about those external factors?
Oh, yeah, there's always those.
Right. Like competition, skeptics.
Right.
Even just the healing world constantly changing.
Oh, it's constantly changing, yeah.
How do we handle all of that, too?
That, my friend, is where trust comes in.
Okay, trust.
Trusting the journey.
Easier said than done, though, right?
Oh, tell me about it, especially in a field like this.
Right, exactly.
That's why O'Brien, she really focuses on cultivating this deep inner trust.
Okay.
Trusting your gut, your connection to something bigger than yourself.
Right.
Your ability to navigate those ups and downs that come with the territory.
So it's not about pretending like everything's perfect or ignoring the challenges.
Not at all. It's about recognizing that challenges are part of it.
Right.
But our perspective, our mindset, our ability to trust the process, that's what changes everything.
It's like that saying, life is 10% what happens to us, 90% how we react to it.
Yes.
We can't control everything.
No.
But we can control how we choose to respond.
Now you're talking.
Right.
That's the heart of what O'Brien's getting at.
Okay.
It's not about being this perfect, all-knowing healer.
Right.
It's about embracing the journey, trusting that inner wisdom, and boldly stepping into the I'm possible of it all.
I like that, the I'm possible of it all.
Right.
Okay, love that energy, that whole like I'm possible attitude.
Right.
But let's get real for a sec. What about those of us who are like just starting out, still figuring out what kind of healing we're even meant to be doing?
Oh, that's where the real adventure begins. And O'Brien has some great like words of wisdom for that too.
Okay.
She reminds us that finding your unique healing gifts, it's not a one-time thing.
Right.
It's this ongoing journey.
Oh, it can be easy to get overwhelmed, though.
Totally.
Especially when you're first starting out.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you walk into the spiritual supermarket, right? And there's aisles of crystals and herbs and energy work and ancient traditions. It's like, where do I even begin to shop?
Exactly. And it's so easy to get like caught up in the shoulds. Like we feel this pressure to learn a certain modality because it's, it's popular.
Right.
Or because someone we admire uses it.
Right. Or we try to force ourselves to like resonate with something because we think it's what clients want. Or to like fit into some niche. I've totally been there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But O'Brien, she encourages us to like drop those external pressures.
Okay.
And really tune into our own inner compass instead.
Okay. Easier said than done though, right?
Right.
How do we go from like too much information to this is it? this is my thing.
She says to start with what lights you up. What are you naturally curious about? What practices just feel like exciting, inspiring, even a little bit fun.
So not, I should learn Reiki because it's like a respected thing.
Right.
But hey, that hand-on healing stuff, that really calls to me. I wonder what that's about.
Yes. Follow that curiosity, that spark,
Okay.
Passion is powerful fuel on this journey.
Right.
It's not about like forcing yourself to fit in.
Right.
It's about letting your own unique gifts unfold naturally.
So like finding the type of healing that feels less like work.
Right.
And more like play.
Yes.
Because it clicks with who you are.
100%. And, pay attention to those little nudges from the universe, too.
Oh, yeah, those synchronicities, like those little things that kind of guide us toward our right path.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're staying curious. We're noticing what excites us. Yeah. We're following those, like, breadcrumbs. What happens when we do find something that resonates?
Right.
How do we know it's not just a passing phase?
Right, because there's a lot of, like, shiny object syndrome out there.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
O'Brien suggests trying it on for size.
Yes. What would that look like?
Take a class, read about it, find a mentor. And most importantly, experiment on yourself.
Right.
You're the best test subject for your own healing powers.
Yeah, we always say that, who better to practice on than the person you know best, yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're not just like thinking about it.
Right.
You're actually getting your hands dirty.
Right. Getting in there.
Yeah.
And as you're exploring, as you're experimenting, notice how you feel.
Yes.
Do you feel like energized and aligned when you're doing this type of healing?
Right, because the body doesn't lie.
Do you notice like shifts within yourself? A sense of expansion, of like deeper connection?
Right.
Those are all good signs.
Yeah, those are all good signs.
What about when, something seems promising at first, but then it just kind of like fizzles out?
That's totally normal.
Okay.
Not every healing modality is going to be like a perfect match.
Right.
It's like dating,
Oh, I like that analogy.
You might need to explore a few different practices before you find the one.
Right. The one that feels like coming home.
Exactly.
Takes the pressure off. We're allowed to explore, experiment.
Yes.
Realize, like, this isn't for me without feeling like we failed.
Right. There's no failure.
It's all part of the journey.
It's all data. It's all information.
Right.
Every experience, even the detours, they offer valuable lessons.
Right.
You're gathering information, fine-tuning your intuition, figuring out what doesn't resonate.
Right.
Just as much as what does.
Okay, so to wrap this all up for our listeners,
yes.
It's about trusting our gut.
100%.
Staying open to new possibilities and remembering that this journey is supposed to be fun.
Yes. You said it, because when we approach this path with that sense of, like, curiosity, that playfulness, we open ourselves up to a world of potential.
This has been amazing, really.
Oh, it's been fun.
A real deep dive into, like, the power of belief, the importance of self-discovery, and just the potential we all have as healers, no matter where we are on the path.
Absolutely.
Big thanks to Collean O'Brien.
Yes, thanks.
You're giving us so much to think about.
So many gems in that book.
And thank you for joining us on this exploration.
Yes, thank you.
Remember, you are worthy, you are capable.
That's right.
And the world needs what you have to offer.
We need you.
We'll leave you with this question from the book, something to, like, ponder as you go about your day.
Ooh, I like it.
What one thing, if it were possible, would completely change your journey as a healer?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Let that simmer and see what magic starts to bubble up.
Love it.
Until next time, happy healing.
Happy healing.